Everybody, welcome back to What the Flick, Empire Season 2, The Tameness of a Wolf, Hannah, Alonso, Lucius.
Yeah, Lucius. It was a big episode,
Yes.
I feel like.
Yeah. A lot went down here. The whole exploration of his childhood is really fascinating. And yet, he's still a douchebag to his kids.
Yeah, that was really interesting. So you could tell that they were all very moved by what they were seeing in the music video. But at the same time, like, that really hit a chord with Andre and not letting him, first of all, not telling him that he had a history of mental illness in his family. And then second of all, making him feel like a freak for his entire life and knowing that his mother was mentally ill.
Right. Not talking about the mother thing. It's like, all right, fine, you understand. He's the guy changed his name. He's, changed his whole past, whatever. But to then turn around and ostracize Andre and still, and again, it's like, okay, that's probably a thing that happens where if you grow up thinking of mental illness as a stigma and something to be embarrassed about, and then you see it in your kid, it's just like that. But, man.
Well, also, you could probably think about, beyond being a stigma, something that was so painful for him.
Right.
And then having to also confront it with his own child is a huge, undertaking in a community that probably stigmatizes therapy and things like that.
You would think that there would be some empathy there, but obviously he comes from impoverished background, and then of course to go from that to being really famous, obviously that immediately puts you into the place where no one ever disagrees with you or tells you anything that you don't want to hear. So these are probably hard truths for Lucius to deal with. So but boy, this show, you get like the tiniest bit of sympathy for him, and then he says something like that, and you're like, oh man,
I know,
we're back to square one.
Yeah, I know. You did have sympathy for him, though. You did have sympathy during that music video
shoot,
filming, and I thought that scene where Cookie is talking to the little boy who's playing little Lucius was extremely powerful, because she wasn't talking to that little boy. She was talking to Lucius.
Yes.
And that was this beautiful scene where you did start to have sympathy for Lucius and really say, okay, wow, you're kind of a dick to your kids and your family, but you might have had a really big impact on the world and society for getting through what you got through. So that's pretty powerful.
I think the challenge that this show has to face with Andre is that as the non-singing one, it's hard to make his on-screen moments as magnetic.
Yeah.
Because, he's the good performance, and they give him interesting stuff to do and deal with. But, Jamal and Hakeem get to sing every week.
Right.
And they get to pour their feelings into song in a way that's really dynamic and powerful and empathetic.
And music already strikes an emotional chord, for most people.
Sure, totally. So I think for audience members, we're inclined to be more invested in whatever Hakeem and Jamal are going through because we're responding to the songs. The songs are strong and they're deeply felt. And so then Andre has to make up for that with nothing but drama on his side, just with dialogue and performance, and it's good, and I think that they do strike a certain amount of balance. But the thing they always have to watch is that, I think the other two brothers get bigger moments that are more that we're more invested in.
Yeah, at the same time though, I think it makes Andre like a little more personable. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not a pop star. I wish I was. That would be awesome. But it makes him a little more personal because he's dealing with something that I think everybody has some connection to at some point in their lives. And so he can't sort of push it to the side and be on the stage with naked ladies or whatever. He has to actually deal with it and work through it and still prove himself like a lot of us do. And so I feel like a little bit of a kinship with Andre. I like
absolutely.
him.
I think he's a really cool character.
Yeah.
It just occurred to me last night because Jamal has the big moment with Frida Gatz, and Hakeem is performing with his ex and his current girlfriend, and I was thinking, like, oh yeah, poor Andre.
But Andre's the only one that's realistic, right?
Oh no, true. Yeah, he lives on the same planet as the rest of us by comparison. Yeah,
but he's also going to have a huge storyline because Rhonda just got in the car with
my
Anika.
God, Rhonda.
Oh man, she's like, you're the only sane one. Nuh-uh, sweetheart.
No, not that's. In fact, the opposite.
Yeah.
Yes. So, that's
and now we see that Anika announces that she's pregnant with Hakeem's baby.
Yep. Next week, we cheated and saw the coming attractions. Yeah, so that's going to be a whole nother thing.
That's going to mess up Hakeem's engagement a little bit, I think. I think that might.
This is kind of digging a little deep, but one thing that I noticed was if this is Cookie's first birthday after getting out of prison.
Yeah.
You know, there's a thing, they have what they call the show calendar as opposed to the real calendar. Like if you watch soap operas, time crawls.
Right.
Like they'll hit all the holidays, but still like, you know, you'll go through 3 Thanksgivings only to find out that 8 months have passed.
Right.
You know? But so in the calendar of this show, that means Cookie's been out of prison for less than a year.
Right.
Even though the show's been on for, you know, a year and a half now or something.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, just kind of just an odd little observation. Like, oh, okay, so that's where we are. I mean, it doesn't key into things very much, but it just every so often when you have a milestone like that, it kind of calls to
Hollywood.
To mind. Yeah, I just
a magical place.
It's drama, you know. What else this week? I think the
engagement happened in a very weird way, but you could see him, you know, really appreciating her family and liking that life and wanting to sort of have some of that for his own, and he's seeing that in her. I thought it was weird. I thought the engagement was weird.
A little, but it was, you know, it was a TMZ-friendly moment, heaven knows. You know, I'm sure the Paps were there and the fans and whoever else in the alleyway with the giant diamond. You know, I think I like that Tiana is not being written off as kind of a two-dimensional bitch. You know, you could have very easily made her like pain-in-the-ass diva who's just being difficult. Her stuff seems genuine to some extent in terms of like, look, I am headlining this tour. There's a limit to what the opening act should and shouldn't be doing. And like, I got to see my ex, who is my boss, you know, making time and being super sweet to this usurper. And I think given all of those things, they could make her much worse.
Yeah, I don't know with her though, because that's an interesting point. I don't know with her if it's so much like, oh, I'm seeing my ex like making out with somebody else. I think, because I mean, we knew she had a second relationship during their time together, and I think she was kind of using it. I think she's frustrated that this girl who hasn't put in the same amount of time as Tiana and maybe doesn't have, I mean, who knows, we can judge her talent or not, but is getting all of these extra benefits and extra perks because she's frickin' the boss.
This is true, yeah.
I would be pissed about that.
Yeah, for any fellow employee is going to resent that. But I think the fact that she has something of a history with Hakeem to whatever extent plays into it as well. So I'm curious to see how that's going to go and how, if they, you know, if she goes full Eve Harrington here, we'll see. And I don't know, or Margot Channing in this case, I guess. Anyway,
well, we shut the door like that on Mimi and Naomi Campbell.
Oh yeah.
That was just like, oh, here's a quick little like fabulous funeral. Bye-bye.
You're dead now. Your furs were great. See ya.
Yeah. Rhonda will be covering her job. Peace.
Right, exactly. And I always loved Portia. With her, well, my grandma used to put nickels in a handkerchief or whatever. It's like, what are you even talking about? Oh, she always cracks me up. Yeah, no, good week, good songs.
Yeah,
like you know, this is, you know, it's that Glee formula of like, you know, like at the end of the episode they remind you that it's all on iTunes. It's like, oh yeah, you actually would want to hear these again, I think.
Yeah.
Especially
I put them on my run playlist.
Oh, good for
you.
Look
at that body.
Okay, all right. Yeah, that's catchy stuff.
Yeah.
So, and that's you know, I can't imagine how hard it is to crank out. I mean, it's hard enough to write weekly television and have like a new hour of show every week, but like 2 or 3 new songs every week, that's just got to be exhausting.
Yeah. It's a good thing they have Timbaland on.
Yeah,
stuff.
that
I think
certainly
that helps a little bit.
Yeah, and obviously your show, you know, it's that thing where, oh, your show's a hit. Of course, yes, I want to write songs for Empire, whereas the first year might have been trickier to sort of get more people in on it, but now suddenly,
and they're all like real artists too. You know what I mean? So I wonder if they, you know, have any take in the writing or anything like that of the songs.
Always a possibility. I don't know. But yeah, good stuff. And the intrigue just gets intriguier. So we'll be back next week. Thanks.